Hey y'all, this is Cameron with Georgia Firing Line. I do e-com from top. Hey y'all, this is Cameron with Georgia Firing Line. I manage the e-com office here, and today we're going to be talking about the ACOG series and why it's one of my favorite optics. The ACOG is a fixed power optic powered by fiber optic and tritium, so no batteries needed. It's always going to be cool. This particular one is a 4x, but they're available in as much as 6 or as low as 1.5. The 3x, that's one of my favorites. So the ACOG, a lot of the time that I have on it is going to be with the military. I've shot decently far with it, 600 yards on a man-sized silhouette. It's very comfortable to do with a 4x. They come available in lots of different reticles. You know, the 1.5 and the 6x I mentioned. There's going to be the chevron, which is, personally my favorite. There's going to be the dot with the circle. There's probably a real name for that, but I'm just going to call it that for now. And then there's the ACSS one, made just for a little bit. Very cool. You'll probably never see them ever again. This only weighs a little under a pound compared to a lot of LPVOs, with a mount. Let's go ahead and use a Vortex Razor, for example. With a mount and everything, you're probably running a little shy or at least right at 2 pounds. And, you also have to buy the mount separate from the $2,000 optic that you just bought. So that's cool. This one, you can buy them for around $1,000, sometimes a little north or a little south, especially with the sales that we run every now and then on them. This particular one is a 4x. It's very close to what I'm used to using. The 4x has a little bit of a tight eye relief, but it's at a good price. You get a gigantic field of view. It's going to be 36 feet at 100 yards. So what does that mean? It means you can actually see the overall picture of what's going on, not just the target that you're looking at. For military applications, you kind of want to know what's going on. Wider optics are never going to be looked down on. This may come as a little bit of a hot take to some people, but I live in Georgia. I actually use 5.56 soft point to hunt, and I use an ACOG. I know that may seem a little tactical for a lot of people, but it's what I do. And you can use it for a lot of different roles. Like why the military selected it is you just get a little bit more magnification, especially for people who really can't see well, like myself, even with glasses, all that fun stuff. You kind of want to know what you're shooting at. So having a 4x is never going to hurt. There are options to put a red dot right here on top. You see these little ears right there. And even if you don't have those, there are still mounts available. Put a red dot on top. I personally did do that, and that's so I can do passive night vision shooting. And the option's also there for the 6x. I don't think that's available for the 1.5x. So the intended role for this would be somewhere close range to about intermediate range. We're going to go with about 600 yards or so, just because that's the limit of my experience with it. Most of the time I shoot this at about 100, 200 yards, but you can shoot it closer in using the Bindon method. Any other vets out there also know this method, where you keep both eyes open, and especially on a really bright sunny day, it's just a gigantic red dot, or chevron if that's what you're using. And you can really superimpose it onto targets really close. Again, there's also the option of adding a red dot on top. That's what I did. I like high optics. I like just kind of poking my head up, and it's there, but the option is there, especially for 1.5. Those things are really cool. And you can throw those on all sorts of guns. I've seen 1.5s on AKs here on the front. I've seen, 6x on 308 builds, because they make these in all sorts of different BDCs for different calibers. So my particular one, I only own 5.56 rifles that I have the ACOG on, so I only got 5.56 calibration. So you can use the 7.62 optic for 6.5. You can use the 5.56 optic for the 5.45, and I've even seen some 7.62 39 ones that also work with 300 blackout. So there's a lot of options out there to really whatever you have, it works. Like this one in particular is the dot with a circle reticle. If this were my ACOG, because it's a 4x, I would have moved it back just a little bit. That's just because that 4x, you really do need to choke up on it. But with how indestructible it is, included mount, and there is the option of putting a red dot on top, it's really hard to beat. I don't like having to put a scope in a mount, having to align it, maybe take it even to a gunsmith and try to get it aligned. This is really idiot proof. 2 little screws into the optic, you throw it on your rifle, you zero it. There you go. If Marines can figure it out, everyone else can figure it out. This would be a really good beginner's optic to get someone who maybe owned some cheaper optics before, but they really want to get into a good build. They finally got their first really good AR. Well, you should get a really good optic to go with it. You don't want to be that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
I personally have this on a 14.5. It's what some of the cool people on the internet would call a recce build because it can reach out a little bit further. It doesn't weigh too much, which again is something I'm going to keep talking about, how the ACOG only weighs right around 1 pound for all the stuff you get with it. This is going to be a great optic to carry you through a lot of variety of classes and ranges. Like we have the hike and shoot, the open range day, even AR dynamics. It's going to get you going with most classes, kind of get you to a point where you actually feel like you can run a lot of rounds through it, you can drop it, you don't have to worry about it breaking or losing zero. This is going to be an example of something you can't go wrong with. It's going to take care of everything that you need, and it's also going to be flexible if you need to change it up at all. There's always going to be different magnifications, always the ability to put a red dot on top. You never really can't go wrong with the Trijicon ACOG. Trijicon is coming to Georgia Firing Line the end of October. It's going to be the weekend of 27th, 29th. They're going to be showing off all of their products, including the ACOG. There's going to be some range examples that you can come on and shoot. They're going to have probably some new optics out there. We're going to see what they bring, but it's going to be really cool regardless. I know at this particular moment we do have a sale going on the Trijicon ACOGs, which I'm actually happy because that means I was able to grab one. We carry a variety of Trijicon products, including the ACOG, and that's going to be available both in-store and online. Feel free to reach out to us. If you go through the online store, it's probably going to be me you're talking to. My name is Cameron. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe.